Alrighty, KV-220 release notes, 99 to 122mm, what? On AP? APCR 121 to 145 pen? What? This needs to be tested. MT25, side of the turret? Yeah, Tier 6 tank, no worries. Let's go and find something tougher. ARL. Yep, APCR straight into the turret ring. And I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm looking at balance changes in the game. Now, like, same release note, they took the autoloader out the M5. You know what I say on that? Fair enough. Do you know what? That tank was OP. Did you see, if you played Tier 3 recently, the amount of them in the game, trucking around, just clipping stuff out was kind of ridiculous. And if you accept that they nerfed everything else inside, then lowest common denominator says they had to do the M5. Hellcat, what can we do with a Hellcat? Yeah, straight in, no worries. Can ram him as well, it's just rude. Side of a Churchill. Side of the turret? Yeah, no worries, standard AP. And I was kind of looking at the KV-220, I took it out this morning, and in all honesty, this tank was absolutely OP to start with. The only thing that was balanced with the tank was the pen on the gun. That's it. The turret's a bit weak, but apart from that, it was just the pen on the gun. You had to work a bit harder, but geez, you were still running high 60-70% win rate. Look at this BDR in a minute. I mean, it's going to bounce around it, but it's not about the armour. The armour's always been ridiculous. It's about the pen on the gun now. It will go through other Tier 5 heavies like a knife through butter with standard AP now. There's poor old Tech Tree BDR. I mean, he's a little bit stocky, but I mean, he's got no hope. I mean, absolutely no hope. I'm driving mouse-like armour with a gun that now works without effort. And I was just driving this thing around this morning, kind of just in shock, to be honest. I've put quite a lot of Tier 6 footage in, because I guess in an effort to balance my arse out, I ended up with a lot of Tier 6 games, and I do anyway if I ever play Tier 5 because of my win rate and stuff. But even that it isn't working. I mean, the KV-1 compared to this tank now is just a joke. Now it's had its armour taken off it. This has still got ridiculously good armour and now just has a gun that does the business. KV-2, Tier 6, standard AP, yep, things I do for you people, Jesus. So if this is a balance change, I'd like to kind of know, I don't know what people's definition of balance is. Is balance to take an already OP Tier 5 tank and make it more OP? I mean, when I bought this tank, it's a collector's tank, right? And everybody said it was coming up to 5.5, I think people said, and it was cheap as well. And people were saying, well, yeah, it's a sweetener because they're going to screw us on 5.5. It's a collector's tank, Wargaming will nerf it, and drove it out the garage. No one could deal with it. I think I got a Raz in it. No one knew what to do with it. And then after a bit, everyone realised they needed to shoot the turret a bit. It got a bit harder to win. Win rate dropped a little bit. Blah blah blah. Then you started driving around, and it just got a bit boring. You were chewing through your iPad because the gun just sucked, and it was just a bit annoying, and this, that, and the other. Now they buffed it, and I'm just still in absolute shock. And I'm sure this tank's now just going to polarise the community, right? Because it's like the Helsing. If you go to Helsing, you're like, yep, Helsing's great. If you haven't got a Helsing, you're like, I hate that tank, it's OP, blah, blah, blah. And it's the same with the Dracula, it's the same with a lot of these tanks, right? So there'll be a lot of bitterness from those who don't have the tank and who don't want to spend gold. And I get that, I fully get it, and I'm with that part of the community in a big way, he said, like the true hypocrite that he is. And there are those of us who own the tank who are just, quite frankly, driving around in it laughing our balls off at the moment because it's just funny. And look, don't get me wrong, I took it out this morning for an hour. I pressed my premium token for an hour, took the tank out, thought I'd get some footage. I'm not going to drive it, boys and girls, any more than this, because I just think it takes the piss a little bit, doesn't it? It's kind of rude. I think that's the word. This tank is now just rude. And especially if you look at the nerfs on the KV-1 and you know what they've done to the KV-2, and I fully agree with the nerf on the KV-2. It was basically driven by people with pretty low skill bars who were just pressing the button, and you know, it wasn't fun for anyone. It certainly wasn't fun for driving light tanks at tier 6. It was just a bit silly. So I'm glad that's gone, and you may or may not agree with that. The KV-1 nerf, okay, fair enough. I mean, you used to shoot the arse of those things and it would bounce, and you used to think, well, that's just silly. It's for a long time been an iconic tank in the game, so on the one hand it's a shame to see it get a nerf, but on the other hand, you know, perhaps it needed one, who's to say? Don't hate me too much for saying that. On the flip side of it, you got this thing, probably lost count of the amount I've bounced in this game, way over 1,000 probably. You've now got this thing, and if you're going to do what you're going to do, and I'm going to pretty much agree with the balance changes that have happened, then why have some sort of brain fart and buff the KV-220? I mean, what on earth? It's like, get everything balanced out and then buff the KV-220. I suppose the only good thing about it is there's not too many of these in the game. It's something to sort of hold on to. I didn't actually play any games at tier 4, you know, when I was top tier. This B1's the only tier 4 tank I saw the whole time. But I mean, clearly it hasn't got a hope in hell, really, has it? Poor little thing. Yeah. Anyway, the KV-220T buff. Quite honestly, why? I have no idea. Anyway, I expect you didn't enjoy, because it's a bit of a painful video. See ya. Bye. See, I did lose some. Anyway, make you feel better.